everybody. Welcome to the Community Podcast. I'm Mike Arboit, and today our guest is TFN member Yahel Demeter. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us today. You're a
pleasure.
member here at TFN, amazing part of our community. It's been awesome having you here, but I want everybody to know, what does Yahel do?
So I'm a business strategist, but I always like to say that I'm in the legitimacy business because my clients, the people who work with me, the bottom line, what they look for is legitimacy, because legitimacy comes from confidence, and confidence comes from strategy. And once they have the strategy, they have the confidence and the legitimacy to do what they want to do, to pursue their dreams, develop their business ideas.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know, like, we've talked quite a bit since you become a member, and you told us how passionate you are about this industry, coworking. Mm-hmm. You have a history in helping coworking spaces develop, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Where, like, so what exactly were you doing? Just marketing and strategy behind those?
The branding part, the brand creation, and the community part.
Yeah. Obviously, that like shows that you know the positives to coworking.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think that when it comes to business, especially for small business owners and startups, the most important part is the community, because the loneliness at the top of the pyramid is massive. I mean, it's a massive part of every entrepreneur's life. Okay. Yeah. So the ability to get feedback and the ability to see the same people again and again every day, and even to say hi to the same person, it's a massive thing.
Yeah, and you get help solving issues that you may have. Everybody's gone through those issues. Someone in the house, in the co-working space, they're all from startup beginners to established business owners, mm-hmm. and everything in between. So if you have a question, or you even have feedback to give somebody, or there's always that communication and just that help going around with one another.
Yeah, and it's go beyond that, because I think that today networking is a rare commodity, right? Good networking. I'm not talking about these groups. I'm talking about real networking that comes to life in daily interactions, right? Not necessarily in one weekly meeting or something like that, but the daily interactions, that's important. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, real relationships build out of that. I find, like, last few years, people want to work with people. Everybody always wanted to work with people they trust, but more so now, people are kind of cutting back on using mass amounts of people. So the people that they are using for help within building their business are people they personally like or get along with on that level. And so when you meet people in person, it's a drastically different thing than it is doing a Zoom call or anything like that.
Networking is about knowing the person that you network with. It's not about knowing what they do. They're not working business cards, right? They're people. And once you trust, once you establish this trust, that's, I think, what's one of the most important things, if not the most important one.
Yeah, and I've seen, like, since you've become a member here, the amount of relationships you've already built within the short amount of time you've been here, it shows just how, like, fast this can happen, and these relationships can build and grow yourself, your business, their businesses, everything.
Yeah, but it really depends on the community. Once the community is good, and once the type of people, not only the professions, but the type of the people that a community attracts is the right type of people. I mean, it makes a difference.
Yeah, and that's like something we learned as like Aaron and myself as co-working space owners and operators, is it's not the physical space that sells your
business. Exactly what I want to say.
Yeah, it's the community around it. If you build that community and it becomes such a strong and, like, tight-knit community, anybody that comes in that's new to it feels welcomed right away, and also sees the benefits of this all. It's something that, like, I didn't know much about, like, I didn't see until I did that, like, started the company. And now that we've seen it, we see why this, I feel, is it's not only the future of work, I think it's been around the world forever. It's a model that really is kind of newish to North America, but you're an immigrant to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
What we find is a lot of immigrants that become members of ours are so used to this model. It's a model that's been used in Europe and Asia for a long period of time, and here it's like as soon as the corporations smelled the money that could be made in the industry, they turned it into that big corporate model, which we're seeing isn't the way co-working works. The reason we're, as a small business, as a basically a startup co-working space while we're working, is because the community. It's not office leasing portraying co-working.
Yeah. So two things. The first one is, I think that there are two kinds of co-working spaces. The kind that the offices are closed behind the door, right? This is just real estate. It's not a community. It's not a co-working space. It's a place that people come, they rent an office, they close the door, they go to work, they walk out the door, they go back home. Here, the vibe is different because everybody's together, everybody sits together. The amount of interaction, of even eyesight, once you hear somebody talks, once you hear another meeting, right? You can comment about it. You can tell something. You know better what this person does. So it's a massive difference between the traditional co-working spaces, what we all know, and this kind of co-working spaces. Now, the second thing is that you mentioned that you see yourself as a startup. How? Yeah.
I mean, we start.
I tell you why I ask, because the business model of a startup is totally different, and I was wondering how you see it.
Well, I mean, we had no history in this industry before. We put all of our eggs in that basket, and we started up a company. That's the only reason I call it a startup. Is we've established it. We kind of grown out of that. But in the beginning, I feel
because I agree. By the way, it's easy stuff.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten out of there, but yeah, I just always will look at that because I feel like the last 5 years that we've been concentrating all of our time and energy into this has just flown by. So, like, as far as we've come, it still feels like we just started.
So. A, I understand what you're saying, and B, I will tell you why I think it's a startup. When the main difference between a startup and a small business is that the business environment when you start a small business is known. You know exactly what to expect. You know that there is a market. You know that there are competitors. You know everything. When it comes to startups, you know that there is a problem. You know that you maybe have a solution, right? And the problem that you probably identified is the problem of the community, right? So the solution, that's why I think you're a startup. The solution, you didn't fall in love with the solution. You didn't fall in love with the concept of co-working space, because if you did, this wouldn't happen. I mean, you would open something like the big corporates, right? Where everybody hides behind the door, and you just read a different name for a real estate company, right? But here, you and Aaron give a very interesting solution to a very, very big problem. So that's why I think you're a startup.
It's
you fell in love with the idea, with the problem, and not with your solution, because you change it all the time.
And it's something like, obviously there's decisions that could be made, like those corporations make, that just put as many offices in one spot as possible, little boxes essentially, and they make the top dollar on those little places. There's no community, and they make their money, and they pay their leases or they pay their mortgages that way, and plus more. We look at that as like, that's not what we're about. Our space here, literally there's one private office upstairs that's kind of tucked away. It's being used right now, but it's not our model. It's not what we believe co-working is. So we wanted to stay true to what our visions are, and it's a community working together. You have people, all industries, it doesn't matter what industry, essentially, they end up working together when you wouldn't ever think this industry and this industry can work together. And it's just it's corny to say, but it's beautiful to watch when you see these natural relationships just flourish. You see people grow. I've seen companies grow away from co-working because they just get too big for it. But it's part of just like the evolution of these spaces. It's drastically needed. Where we are in Port Moody now, there seems to be a lot of people that are in that startup phase or just establishing their small businesses, or even like moving on up from their home office and needing to get staff now. And we're seeing it, like we've been here 6 months, and we're already seeing that happen here within the people that have been here for 6 months, where their businesses are growing within that 6 months to a point where they're hiring, they're bringing people in, they're asking for more desk space. It seems like everything's moving so fast. It's been a crazy few years, though. I don't know what it was like.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I don't know what it was like building co-working spaces in other countries in the past. I don't know how it affected that industry in other places in the world when the pandemic hit, because obviously we started when the pandemic hit. We got the keys a month before the pandemic hit and had to base a model that was based on community, people being together, events, everybody being in one house, and having to change that completely on the fly and basically pivot to an online almost networking platform until we could bring people in again and have a skeleton crew of people working within the house. It's been a very interesting time because we were promoting something essentially that was almost being frowned upon by some people, especially early pandemic, where it's like, you want people to get together, that's a no-no. So I wonder, obviously North America reacted a certain way, other places in the world react a certain way during COVID. I wonder how it affected an already, I find, a flourishing industry in other parts of the world, what it did during and what has happened after, right?
I'll tell you what, I think that it doesn't matter what happens. I think that, and I know it sounds corny, but it's the truth. Once a community is a strong community, nothing can happen. Nothing. I mean, because you base your business model on the community. I'm here not because of the desk. I don't need a desk. Okay, I need a community. And that's the most important part. Now, once you have a well-established community where everybody knows each other, everybody knows you, everybody knows the value that you bring, you have nothing to worry about, no matter what pandemic hit us or something like that. I mean, you have your community, and community always stays there as long as you give value.
Yeah, and they end up, a lot of them, working together, and I feel like community is so vast with what they have in that community. A lot of the past ways of working is like, you work in this industry, these are the people you're around, all in this industry. You're not meeting anybody from this industry.
Exactly.
You're outsourcing like projects, with let's say graphic design work, something like that, to somebody you might not even know, you just found online. They're not getting what you want done. You're back and forth through emails or calls trying to be like, no, this is what I want.
It's a guessing game.
It's a guessing game. And then you get here and it's literally like you have almost a catalog of people to work with from each industry. Artists flourishing and making money, building what their services up in a time. Like now, I feel like there's always been starving artists. Now is the time, though, for those artists to step up and actually be huge parts of businesses, because they're the people actually promoting these businesses now with social media, and just everything is based on, I would say, art in some form. So it's having a community hub of all these people from corporate to industrial to trades to like law to every industry is in this place. Like that, we have somebody that pretty much represents all major industries, that if you're a business starting out, or even if you are moving to a next step and you need something figured out for you, whether it be accounting, anything, there's somebody here for you.
Yeah, but it is much more basic than that. I think most business owners, and I'll give you an example. When small business owners come to hire me, right? Once we start the process together, the first thing that I say is that, how do you do networking? What is your community? I mean, where you get feedback from, who you consult with, Okay, because the feedback is so important. It's actually the fact that you have someone to talk with, to share your ideas with. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a good direction? What do you think about the logo? For example, yesterday, Amy, one of the graphic designers here, she made me a logo for a project of mine. So the first thing that I did after I received the logo, I showed it to Irvin and to Irina. What do you think? Right? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's right? So they loved it, right? It's a good logo. But the thing is that feedback, you can't even I can't even describe it. I mean, it's worth anything.
It's any little thing too. It's
exactly.
It's the little things that do add up. Sometimes you don't see the big picture on everything, and just having a few different eyes, even with graphic artists like that are amazing.
Yes.
One secondary look could fix such a small issue, but it could become so much bigger in the future.
It's pitfalls, it's blind spots. I mean, so many things that you can't see because you're so focused on what you do.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it earlier, but like people with perfection, wanting perfection a lot in the past, and how times have kind of changed where it's like imperfections are almost better. And that's where I feel like these relationships and co-working spaces are great too. You're not just seeing this fake presence of a person. You're not seeing like only they're good. Like you're seeing when they struggle or or like even flaws, but everybody has them, that you can work around these flaws and you actually really trust these people and actually know these people when other people that you might have been working with in the past portray themselves as a certain thing, never can take feedback, never can take this, they get worked up. It's absolutely amazing having one place where all these people can work and form this community, and there's rarely any drama because you're not working for the same company, and there's always that beef with one another.
No politics.
No politics. It's literally help. It's always just help. The politics, I would say, are more jokative. Like people will always know, like you have a team of people working in that place, you'll always notice certain people doing less, whatever. Like it always, but it's not that bitterness that you will get, the cancer 100%. Around a workspace. Why I feel like people that don't know about co-working, that work from home, why they aren't intrigued to try it out is because they worked in a toxic workplace before, that they think, why would I pay somebody to work in an office?
Maybe, but I think that maybe, again, sorry that I said the word community so much, but maybe they don't know yet the value of good community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're on a podcast called The Community, so it's literally
okay.
Community is our like. Cindy, our producer, she's started producing for us recently. I don't know how many times she's heard me say community. Probably about 600 times in the past 4 podcasts. But I can't say it enough. Like everything that happens within this building that's a success has to do with the community.
Absolutely.
100%. In Port Moody itself, I feel like it's a very tight-knit community. So once we keep building this up to be that community hub where it's not just entrepreneurs, it's legitimately the whole community of people that work, live, play here. It's you know how beautiful this area is and how flourishing it is, and especially in the summer coming up. Just being in this area, I kind of feel like uplifts people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's what I've seen, even though like I will tell, like our old space, it was beautiful space, windows everywhere, all this stuff, not as industrial. This is why I say like a space doesn't sell it. Is we bring a community over to this more industrial style building, and it's not as aesthetically like perfect, right? Like it's more of an industrial space, but the members, the feedback we've gotten is how much they love it more.
Exactly.
So it really is the community.
And if you go out of this trailer and you ask everyone around here if they're here for the building or for the people, they will say 100% for the people.
Yeah, the people
100%.
And just the vibes around it's like a home away from home, where it's like you can come here, be professional, get your stuff done, but also be here, socialize, be part of something bigger. I talked about it with Chris Peacock on our podcast, just how it's crazy to see, because if you've worked in an office or for a business, like where you're just a typical 9 to 5, or your day ends at that time, you're going home.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, but some people are watching the clock and then they go home.
Yeah.
Here, people finish their shift and they hang around for a couple extra hours at the end of the day because they like actually love the atmosphere. That's not something you get very often.
Or come for to watch a hockey game, right?
Yeah. Like literally, when I'm thinking about it and I'm coming in here in the morning and I set up for the day and then I'm here for the hockey event, and then I add it up in my head and I'm like, holy, I was here for a total of like 10 to 13 hours a day, and I didn't notice.
Yeah, I didn't feel
other days. If they asked me to work a 12-hour day, you're like, oh my god, man. No. Like, so it's not. That's why it's like people really that work from home that don't think this is for them. That's why we have all these memberships that are just like part-time. Try it out. It's a lot better for you, even more so you than your business. And what happens when you take care of yourself, your business will flourish because you're in a better state of mind.
100%. And you know, it's not it's even when you work from home, I think that your biggest problem is the separation between your private life and your work life, right?
Yeah.
You have a problem with work-life balance usually because the computer is always there. You always see your office. You always see the screensaver or the emails going in. So most people, what I notice, that most people find it difficult to separate the two. Yeah. So when you have a co-working space, that it's like your office. It is your office, right? Yeah. You are able to make this separation.
Yeah, it's the home office. Some people can flourish in those circumstances. I think less people can. They like the idea of it more than the actually doing it.
I think that the balance is important.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of people ended up getting sent home the last few years, and they really hated where they were working beforehand. Yeah. That the idea of working from home is just better than that. So they were like, I never want this to end. But where I have friends still working from home. It's just that I've been to, they're like, yeah, I work from home. It's like, how long have your days been now? They're longer days.
Yeah, longer days.
You're basically concentrating on work longer, but not concentrating on the work.
And you know what? I think that today, you know what's the situation of the economy, right? Yeah. You see the numbers. And I can tell you that many people are starting to think about side hustles or opening their own business because they understand that they can earn much more, right? Yeah. Actually, I think that most of the people who contacted me through my website recently were people who wanted to start a business. Yeah. So for people who want to start a business, this kind of space is priceless. Yeah. Because everybody here knows what it means to start a business. Everybody here knows what it means to have a successful business, right?
Yeah.
And to succeed in that. And for them, I think that everyone who even thinks about opening a business, that's the first stop. Yeah. Even to come to events or just meet people who own a business or just ask them questions. For example, I think that in one of the it wasn't Meet the Members, it was exactly the Bill Schmoozer in Brave. So I met two guys who want to open a business, right? Yeah. They never had a business before, but they came to ask questions. They came to meet business owners.
And the two young brothers.
Exactly. So they wanted to meet people maybe who can hire them, but they ended up thinking about opening their own business.
Yeah, like what's a better idea for
exactly
them, right?
And it was amazing. Maybe they will combine the two, but if the fact that they came there just opened their mind.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's I like they were probably, I think they were like 18, 19-year-old kids.
Something like that.
Yeah. And it's a very
the twins.
Yeah, the twin. It's a very good age to make that decision because I find that what stops people from making that decision is usually getting so comfortable in their 9-to-5 career, in their 20s, in their 30s. That's like, why I can't change now. I have too much falling back on me.
Yeah.
If you at 18, 19, that is, if
Everything
you
is
have that
open.
idea, what if you don't do it right, you fail.
Just do it again.
Do it again, or even you have all this time to, if you have to fall back on that, what you were going to do, you have that time. You can do it later in life. Try this out, because if you make it work, your life is going to be happier. It's going to be it's a lot of work in the beginning. It's a hell of a lot of you're going to spend more time on it, obviously running a business. But if you get to a point where you build that community around it and you build it up to a bigger point, you're, now I'm going to even say financial freedom, just your freedom of just life freedoms. They open up greatly.
Yeah. First of all, I don't think that there is something like that, something like financial freedom when you own a business,
No.
right? Because your time is your money. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
So in that case, I think that it's the opposite.
Yeah.
But it is very rewarding on the other hand, right? But you talked about a failure. I always tell my clients that failure is something, it's a dominant part of every development process of everyone, especially when you open a business. But you need to make sure, and now I talk as a strategist, you need to make sure that if you fail, it will be fast and cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fallback strategy is to do it just fast and cheap. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you do everything right, maybe it won't happen, right? But the thing is that you want to move forward. You want to learn and just implement what you learn and move forward. And I also read an article that most people, these people that today are 20 years old or something like that, they will change up to 37 jobs during their lifetime. 37.
Yeah, it's changed a bit.
So it means that everybody will have maybe a day job and a side business, right? A side hustle or small business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely on the rise. I know when we were opening during the pandemic and all the people getting laid off or working from home had more time. Just being a business where our niche was media, so we're trying to do a lot of podcasting, video production, and then seeing how much of that equipment was being like sold out everywhere, microphones, everything, because so many people were like, what's my side hustle now? I got to figure it out. And so you saw a lot of people just trying stuff out. And I saw so many people that pivoted during the pandemic that made was actually the best times of their businesses.
100%.
Because they were smart and just pivoted quickly and realized
they were with their back against the wall.
Yeah. 100%.
And nothing to do.
We had people that were that had clothing lines. All of a sudden, I'm not selling T-shirts, but let's take that same material and wrap it around people's faces. And all of a sudden, they started a mask business that could not keep enough.
That's exactly what entrepreneurship is, right?
Yeah.
You need to identify a problem and you need to pivot very, very quickly.
Yeah, especially if you have materials ordered and stuff, and you're making all these custom clothing, and now you're like, oh, I have all this cotton,
and you have a community with needs.
Yeah.
Right? So
and those people succeeded and actually did better than ever, and maybe they had to, after the pandemic was done, kind of go back to what they were doing, but just pivoting with the times, pivoting with just knowing, almost like knowing what the next step is without knowing what the next step is, but just knowing that you always have to be on your toes and ready to adapt. People that are scared to change and evolution are the ones that usually they fail, or it's where I find a lot of private jobs or government jobs and stuff where they've been put into place all these methods that are slow motion, or protection through union, that you have these good people coming in to try to change things, but they will never be changed because you have all this protection of these people.
20 layers.
That were all these different different ways of doing things were embedded into them, and they don't have to change because they're protected by it.
It's comfortable.
So now that's why I don't think that really works per se. It's such a slow moving process. Anything you want to get done through government and stuff. But then I work with all these people in real life that are in every day that are just like, oh, yesterday this happened. Okay, today it doesn't matter if this is my business plan. Today we are completely scrapping that and going with what works.
It's interesting because I think that if you ask me what is the most important thing for an entrepreneur, for a business owner, is to be able to change your learning strategy. And when I say learning strategy, I'm not talking about only learning, but also on unlearning. So what you just said is unlearning, because sometimes we learn things, we operate in a certain way, and we need to change it. And the only way to change it is to unlearn it. And if you don't have that skill to unlearn things, I'm sorry, but you're doomed.
Yeah, or just not be stubborn about learning something. You know, it doesn't have to be wiped out of your memory, because here's a perfect example. If internet goes down and you used to do invoicing through literal writing stuff out, and you have some lady who's worked in that, doing that forever, and then all of a sudden they implemented computers, implemented invoicing that way, and then all of a sudden computers are down for, let's say, a massive amount of time, and you can't do any of this stuff.
But that's being agile,
right?
I'm talking about unlearning. Unlearning, for example, is if you're used to a certain social media strategy, and then Facebook or Meta, they come and change the rules because of the iOS 14 or something, right? You need to unlearn it, because what you knew is no longer relevant. And if you keep on doing the same thing, you won't be successful, right? You'll hurt your business. So you need to unlearn it. So many people are still relying on things they learned in the past that they think they work, or maybe they worked in the past, right? But they're still there. They're still stubborn. They still don't want to change. You're absolutely right that people are afraid of change. And I think that unlearning is a part of it.
Oh yeah, it's literally with like marketing and like digital marketing, learning how algorithms work on different platforms, everything like that. They change drastically. What worked on Instagram a year ago to now literally is the opposite. That if you do a thing a certain way, it actually
also with business strategy. I mean, it goes all the way, even to business plans, right? To models, to the SWOT model. The SWOT model of today is so different than the SWOT. It's the same model, right? But the way you look at it is so different than what it was before.
Yeah, 100%. It's I agree with you on so many different levels when it comes to just how businesses can succeed and just adapt. I can be stubborn in other parts of my life, but when it comes to business, I try to be completely open-minded and listen and just try to actually figure out what's best at this time, this exact moment, and might change tomorrow. But don't think of it as wasted energy if, like, let's say you have to pivot, or it's something, it's learning. If you look at it as something, as you're learning, evolving every day as a business owner, if the person at the top is learning, everybody underneath will continue to learn as well. If the person at the top is stubborn and says this is the way it's done, everybody else just will get to that point and just turn off that switch and not care about anything else. So you need the person at the top to be basically the person who is adapting more than anybody.
And you know what? Even when even when it is a CEO or a small business owner or medium-sized business owner or first-time business owner or somebody who wants to open a business, who come to ask me what skill they need, I always tell these people that the skill is the art of asking questions. Okay, because so many people are used to not asking questions, right? To just follow what everybody else does. For example, when we talk about the competition, right? If I ask, for example, a personal trainer, right, fitness trainer, what is your competition? They will probably tell me that their competition is other fitness trainers, right? But what is the real competition? If you ask the right question, you will find out that the real competition is the sofa, is the television, right? Is other activities. So that's the art of asking questions. When you know what to ask, answers just come. You don't need to find the answer.
And yeah, like it
Does it
just,
make sense? What?
yeah, and it goes back to the, like, there's no dumb questions. People are scared that they're going to have a dumb question.
You know, there is a saying that, if I remember it right, smart people ask stupid questions and stupid people ask no questions, right?
Yeah, it's the truth,
Yeah.
because sometimes, like, I find with business owners, they ask questions that sometimes, even like you say, the stupid questions, but they have so much going on up here that sometimes the most basic thing is not being solved.
Absolutely.
So
And it also connects to the fact that imperfections are okay, because it's the basic, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, I feel like there's so many things on a business owner's mind at all times that sometimes it's like, I'll put it in perspective, like, I have all these other things going on in a day. Sometimes it's really nice just to grab a mop and just do this. It might not be the most tedious thing, or just the most brain using task. It's not something that I really should be doing, but sometimes
What's wrong with that?
that is just like turning the brain off and doing something basic, or learning even almost like learning a skill I haven't done in so long that is considered almost like bottom of the barrel. It's something that I think everybody just kind of has to do, is that turning off of the brain every once in a while. But business owners really don't get that. I feel like I see a meme all the time online, just a regular meme. It's just like, I quit my 40-hour-a-week job because I was overworked and underappreciated, to trade it off for an 80-hour work week where I'd never stop, and I am still overworked but feel better about it. It's just, yeah, it's unbelievable being a business owner, and how much you have to process, and I feel like in the last 5 years, I'd never felt my brain actually felt my brain until being a business owner, where it's just like your brain doesn't want to think. Like, literally, you're trying to think and you feel it like, no, you need to calm down.
I completely agree.
You need to calm down right now, and you need to just turn it off, because it's not going to process.
You know that there is a saying that when you open a business, if you open a business just because you don't want a boss on your head, right? It's like going out of the. I hope that I'm saying it right, but it's like going out of the lion's den and hiding in the fox den, right?
Yeah.
It's just the same. But the thing is that if you open a business, and it goes back to our previous conversation, if you open a business to solve a real problem, so you will never feel overworked or something like that, right? Because you want to solve a problem. You want to do good. You want to make an impact. You want to make a change. You want to make a difference.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable feeling, is making that difference too. I honestly, I think being a business owner is rewarding itself. But with what we do here, I don't think there's a more rewarding position, just because it is a hub. It's a community hub. It's a community space, but it's also like seeing people flourish and grow because of the community that's been built. That's there's nothing better.
I'll ask you this, and the reason I'm asking it is because when somebody contacts me, the only factor that I see before I realize if I want to work with this person or not is whether I can change their life or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether I can make an impact or not. And my question to you: do you feel that you make an impact? Do you feel that you change people's life when they come here?
Yeah, I do, 100%. And I don't even say it's just me, just the what we helped build and create, because like we were just the first initial like stepping stones of like organizing it, but it's each piece that gets added to that creates the community around it. But the rewarding feeling is it's absolutely the best feeling I think ever, and I feel like that is in itself. The success of this business is just the happiness of like the people and how much we helped them out. And I'm not saying like we as in people, but just the model really helped and just kind of came from us, but then just became something so much bigger than us itself. But just keeping that guideline of the business and like what we want out of this keep that main thing going as community first, everything else second. It doesn't, or like you put the community first on all levels and it will flourish.
It's the difference between managing a community and looking at the community from outside as a community manager, and being a part of the community as a community manager. Okay, and that's, I think, what you are. But my question to you now is I hope it is okay, right?
It's not
what is your biggest challenge?
I mean, biggest challenge?
Business challenge.
Business challenge? I mean, it's just the typical. I think the challenges that are hitting everybody now is just inflation. Every little thing that it seems that is being put into place to make things harder on small businesses. That's the challenge, but the challenges go out the window as soon as you're around the people here. You said it earlier that as long as you have the community, like, you're going to succeed. And I feel like that's the kind of the point where we're at. It's kind of a perfect example of what happened to our business in the move. Our community and what we built the community around, when we contacted these guys, they knew who we were. They knew what we did. And when we told them what we did, they already they'd been to our space. They saw like the community we built. So when we pitched the idea, it was a prove it out, but they just saw how much we were about the same values as they wanted to be. That when we moved over here, it's always going to be, was scary. We didn't know what it would be.
Life is scary. Business is scary. I mean,
it's but when you have a physical membership base based out of a certain area, and you have to move that community to a different city, even though it's close,
it's different.
It's that worry that it's like, these people will say this, that we'll come with you, and doing it is another story, right? But when we told people at Site B what our plans were, that we said this is how many people we probably would bring over, we were estimating how many people would leave, but it turned out to be almost exactly the way we pitched it to them, but better. Anybody that we did lose in the move, we gained somebody new that I wouldn't say it's better for the community, but the people we did gain,
it changed the community.
It changed it, and instantly we had these people that were like key parts of this community, not like gradually stepping up. It's like, no, it literally, they came in and became instantly one of the, like, favorites or anything, but just people that were working with other people within the community, instantly started building these relationships to a point when people come in now that are new, they think we've been here 6 months. They think some of the people we've only known for, like, yourself included, for the last few months have been here forever. It feels like it's so tight knit that this has been going on for years and years and years. But in reality, it's just, I think, the comfort level of instantly people come in here, feel comfortable, and aren't scared. The amount of it's funny because I'm actually one of them. The amount of introverts that come into this industry knowing that it's better for them, even though they hate it. And then they end up loving it because me as an introvert, it's usually people I don't like, I can't really conversate with, or don't know that I can't conversate with instantly. But here, developing these relationships make it so I can have conversations that are on another level, podcasting. And I've met a lot of business owners that knew that. They're like, personally, I hate doing this. I hate talking on a podcast, but I've grown to a point where I know how much it's good for me and it's good for my business, and it's challenging. And as a business owner, I want to challenge myself. That almost something that they used to despise, hate, not want to do has become something they actually enjoy doing, being part of a community, being around people. Like, it's weird knowing people that dislike people as in general, but love being here. It's bizarre.
And I was to be honest, I was surprised how fast I felt a part of this community. I was surprised.
That's our goal. We want it to be very inviting, and just prove the fact that it's the people in the space.
I'm not here for the desk.
100%.
To be honest.
It's definitely everyone that's here. And it just keeps on getting better. I feel like there's puzzle pieces keep getting added. You think the puzzle is not complete, but pretty close, and then the puzzle keeps getting more pieces.
You see it in the events. By the way, you see that more and more people come and the connections they make.
And it's there's a lot of people that make the mistake for instant gratification and reward. So perfect example is podcasting. You have the stat is most people get through, if they start a podcast, do 7 episodes and they're done because they don't have that respect.
That's a statistic? The statistic? Okay.
It's 7 podcasts is the average. What if somebody
7 episodes?
7 episodes, and it's usually because they quit because the viewership is low. They put, it's a lot of work.
So how do you overcome these 7 episodes?
I think you have to just continue. It's like anything, continue. It's that constant.
But it's hard to continue if you don't see the. I mean, I'm making it up for you, right?
But
because I totally agree with you. But
Yeah.
I make it up. It's hard to make the transition between the 7th period and the 8th period. So what do you tell somebody who faced that challenge? I mean, what motivation you give them?
It's something I have a challenge with every time I have podcasting clients, because they're like, how do we get monetized? Is always my first question when it comes to podcasting.
Why? Why are you doing this? Right?
Yeah. It's just like, well, it takes time. You have to have content. You have to find the people that would want to sponsor you. If you're just expecting the platform to sponsor you, you're looking at like you need hundreds of thousands of subscribers. It's not as easy as it portrays to be. And this is where I think like podcasting is a perfect example of how it is for all businesses, to be honest. Because if you start a business, some people are lucky enough it'll just like flourish right away. You made the best choice ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Very little amount. But most people know that you're going to have to put in everything.
Lots of effort.
In the beginning, effort, money, whatever it is, in the beginning, or even longer than the beginning, to get to where you want to be. And I think that's like telling my clients, you have to continue just doing it even if the numbers aren't there. That's the only way you're gonna.
Yeah.
If you give up now, you'll never know. But unless you're a big celebrity and you have a huge following already, if you start a podcast tomorrow, those people will get viewers no matter what. But if you're Joe Average, you're very knowledgeable, very good at what you do, but you don't have that background or following, how do you expect people to see it? You could throw all the money in the world, but as soon as you're marketing and you're seeing all these clips, are they watching you? When people will start watching you is if they see content, endless content from you, where it's like all of a sudden you're in their algorithm, they watch one of your videos and all of a sudden they see you have another 100 videos of the same kind of ideas or like knowledge that you're giving out. That's when you can build. And guess what? If you have a video from 2 years ago that had 3 views on it, if one of your new videos gets 100,000 views on it, people will start looking at your other stuff. So it's a long process, but that's like, I feel like podcasting was just a very popular thing in the last little while that everybody was trying.
Everybody wants to be a podcaster.
But if you actually look at it as like other business too, it's just like it rarely works out right away. You're always going to be putting all the effort, the money, the time into it in the beginning.
I don't know anything that works out right away. I mean, for me, it makes sense.
Yeah. It literally is something. It's usually a crapshoot, lucky thing. Like let's say the masks again. It's like one of those things that's just like, if you were somebody who had resources of being able to get all this material to make them, and you thought of it instantly, that could be an instant success story. Yeah. But it's always it's such a just a small part of the percentage of businesses that flourish right away, and it's usually something brilliant or something lucky. And you never know where you're going to be. There's some brilliant things out there that people took 20 years until it got discovered, and then boom. And you read all those articles or just see everything online about how some of the biggest names in the world never became those names until they were in their 40s, 50s, even 60s sometimes, but they just kept going with an idea.
Persistence.
And it's as financially discouraging and like uncomfortable as it can be when you're funneling money in or you don't have the money. I think that happiness in what you're doing, no matter what the financial outcome, is always going to be better than
the reward.
Finances, and you hate what you're doing. So it's that balance, that healthy balance that I think, it's a reward. I just tout coworking. It's changed my ideology of life. It really has. I don't know if you notice when you talk to people, friends, whatever, that work that typical 9 to 5.
Well, in different place.
It's a different place, and it's no knock on them or even like putting you on a pedestal above or anything. It's just I have a hard time talking to people that hasn't gone through what we have in the last 5 years as a business owner.
I'll tell you what, I think that when you do, again, it's a cliche, right? But I feel it every day when you do something you love, or something that makes you feel proud of yourself, or when you feel that you make an impact on somebody else's life. Money doesn't matter. Money does matter, right? But the money is not the reason. The reward is your happiness. The reward is the fact that you made the change.
I know, like, it's Vancouver where we're at now, and it's pretty hard to not put finances first.
No, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, 100%. I know what you mean. I do know that we probably are past a half an hour now. We do aim for a half an hour. I think went a little longer. I don't know what time we're at, but what were we at, Cindy? 51? Yeah, so we're close to an hour. I appreciate you coming on. I can talk about this. I appreciate you coming on. I also like really enjoy talking to you. I can see the passion for what you do, as well as like you love working with people, and you love people, community.
100%.
So definitely on the same wavelength as me. I appreciate you coming on, but I definitely appreciate what you've brought to the community.
100%.
The relationships I've already seen you build through people that some of my favorite people in the space too. It's great to see.
I really love this community.
Yeah, I just love just seeing these great relationships blossom, and also just not knowing what the future entails for that. Like just seeing where it's going to go from here is it's one of the best parts of the job for me. So
endless opportunities, and
it's a completely endless opportunities, and I feel like it's just the beginning. It both feels like we've been here forever, but also it feels like we just got here. So I feel like this is in this spot, this physical area, it's just beginning, but I think in total it's just
think that now you just said the essence of owning a business. I feel that what you just said, that I've always been here, but I just got it, right? That's the essence.
Yeah, it's definitely the essence, and it's
I love it.
Having people.
I'm going to quote you.
I try. Most of my quotes are never that. Usually, it's a lot of mumbo jumbo. But I've done this a lot. Talked to a lot of people that it's kind of opened my eyes up. I think honestly, the podcast itself trained me in a way, because I interviewed over 100 different business owners, and all of them have gone through stuff differently, have gone through the same stuff as well, and have done different things to either move forward with it, having to scrap exactly what they're doing, just adapting. And these conversations make, I think, anybody having these conversations more knowledgeable, and it's better in their growth of their business as well. Just being part of this community, being part of a podcast, and just listening to all the stuff that's happened to the community in the past, present, in the future, and just knowing that somebody has an answer for you. It's literally like, it sounds cliche, but it's been done before.
Or somebody wants to hear about what you're doing.
100%. And they might be the missing puzzle piece. That's
exactly.
The thing. The amount of people in tech that work here that could be that missing puzzle piece, or just the idea that you have in your brain that it's like you have no idea how to make it happen, but there's people that can make it happen with you, and then you just start.
And even if you don't know, they can help you to find the answer. That's exactly the thing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. We'll talk about it maybe another time, because I enjoy talking to you a lot. I definitely want to create new podcasts within the space to more. This podcast is called The Community, but it'd be nice to do maybe not even a show where it's regularly hosted by the same person, but just having like almost like a roundtable conversation between the members. Because it's the amount of knowledge that can be spoken with those conversations can be huge. But thank you so much, Yahel.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for watching and listening today. Make sure to like and subscribe our channel, as well as just let us know what you think of this podcast, as well as if you know anybody or if you yourself want to be on this podcast, reach out in the comments section or check down below and see how you can get in contact with us. But this has been another episode of The Community. Have a good one.